up? Big Herc 916. Positivity, motivation. You know how we do it over here. Never settle for average. Go pick up some merch at bigherc916.com. You're tuned in to another edition of Chopping It Up with Big Herc. And I have here with me a special guest,
Jess Styles. My name is Jess Styles of the Big Homie Told Me Show. I want to say thank you to Big Herc for having me. You know, it's totally an honor.
Yeah, and coincidentally, we got introduced through a mutual friend, and we happened to went to the same junior high school, frequenting some of the same spots in the Bay Area. So I'm gonna let him get into it and talk about a little bit about where he's from and how he grew up.
Yeah, I'm from San Francisco, California. Grew up in Hunters Point is the section that's within San Francisco. Pretty tough neighborhood, and throughout my life, I had to overcome a lot of obstacles growing up in a single parent household and just being in an environment that, there was a lot of negativity, a lot of violence, but, school, sports, those things helped me stay on the right track.
And for those who don't know San Francisco, you might just think about like the homeless. FrIsco, very diverse city, a lot of culture. It's a lot of different areas that, you can go from one extreme rich in Pacific Heights.
Yes.
And then you can go over here, like he said, parts of Hunters Point, Sunnydale. It ain't no joke, man. And, I knew some cats from Hunters Point, and you get caught out in Hunters Point out of pocket, man. You get your wig split. So we went to the same junior high school, Martin Luther King Junior High School.
Yes.
And right up the street from 3rd Street in FrIsco. And I was telling him a story when we were in school and we went on a field trip one time. The bus pulled up on down the street on 3rd Street from the school. And at the stop, the teacher told everybody, he said, look, when the bus stops, just get out and start running. And this is how, because it was a public field trip, but we weren't on a school bus. And like, dude, I seen dudes get on the bus out there and like, yo, blood, where y'all from? What you doing? And literally start slapping fools. Like on
NWA.
Yeah, just like that.
Straight out of Compton.
Yeah,
like
I seen, got on the bus, and ain't no joke, man. Dude would go through when they open the back, he pop in there, the homie, and other dude come through the front, like, just checking fools.
It's tough, and it's changing now.
Yeah. I was in the 80s.
It's changing now, it's being gentrified, so, you're getting a lot of, new businesses, a lot of, technology, people who work in that field, tech. So you're getting a lot of people, from all walks of life now. So
San Bruno still the same over there?
San Bruno, I would say the whole, southeast area is changing a lot.
There was a lot of mom and pops over there.
A lot of mom and pops.
The bike shop, the little bakery, the little store, shopping little spots.
That's still there. San Bruno. San Bruno is one of the last, places that's similar to, I'm sure, when you were still there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because like you said, there are a lot of mom and pop stores.
Yeah.
And I go back fairly recent, and a lot of stores are still there. The restaurants, a lot of them are still there. So no one wants to sell if right now in San Francisco unless you're coming with a big bag.
Okay. Yeah, because that was like very like a lot of people who immigrated who bought those places a long time ago.
Yes.
And they've been there forever. And then we used to hang out on Market a lot, and I heard Market got ran down. That's like
Market Street right now is, even as a tourist, if you're coming out to Market Street, man, park with your windows down. Park with your windows that literally, and I'm not exaggerating this, you've heard it recently.
People leave notes like, I don't have no...
I have nothing, and they call it bipping. They call it bipping where, people literally go throughout the Bay Area right now and they're just breaking into cars left and right. So much so
no respect for anybody.
No respect. And it's pretty bad right now to where the mayor of San Francisco, she had put out a $100,000 bounty per se. Like if you catch anyone, stealing out of a car, and we're able to catch them, we'll give you $100,000, stuff like that. But, I think the pandemic changed a lot. It exposed a lot when it comes to just the two different parts of San Francisco. You have the haves and the have-nots. and that's really just
how do you think
it
it got to the point it is now? Because I mean, you know, when I was growing up, they used to say, you know, when we used to skateboard all over the city and break dance, we used to go out there, bring our linoleum, everything, boom boxes. Man, they used to say, stay away from like Polk Street and the Tenderloin. And those spots, they had, you know, gay, trans, everybody, but nobody cared. They had their own world. Absolutely. You know, their own world over there. But it was just like in certain areas, but you didn't have like Market Street. I don't really see a lot of homeless, you know, over there by Ghirardelli Square. All that was really nice. They had Embarcadero. I mean, it was, you know, it was nice. You go out there on a Saturday and hang out and, you know, watch people skateboard and stuff.
Absolutely.
I mean, how do you think it got to the point where it just, like you said, after the pandemic, it looked like Escape from New York just came in on the city?
I think what really happened was, you know, it just, the pandemic showed just the difference in the amount that people are making in San Francisco. You know, before the pandemic, it was easy to hide the crime. You could just say Hunters Point, Fillmore area, district, and things like that. But once the pandemic came, it showed there was a lot more fraud with the PPP loans, EDD, and people were taking advantage of that. So you give people who are impoverished a lot of money at one time. They've never had this amount of money, so they blow through it so fast. They start this living a lifestyle that they can't afford. Now they have to keep up with that lifestyle. And those are some of the things that we're seeing, you know, every day in San Francisco. Again, my family lives out there, so I hear about it all the time. You know, cars being broken into, you know, when I go back, hey, if you know, Uber everywhere, you know, and it's sad that it has to be that way, but, you know.
What was one of the things that kept you from getting involved in the bullshit growing up? Because it's easy to get caught up in bullshit.
Sports kept me, you know, let me say this, you know, I grew up directly in it. And quickly, you know, my mom had bought me a basketball hoop, you know, because I was into sports. And this was when I was around 6 years old, a real basketball hoop that you put in front of the house. So the community that I lived in, you know, everyone would come play on my basketball court. You know what I mean? So I'm talking everybody. If you somebody, you playing on that court. And my mom would never allow me to, you know, I call it tucking my tail, where I'm in the house and, you know, they're outside, because these are my neighbors. So they're involved in all of this activity. You know, I still have to be outside. This is my basketball court. So I can't not be outside. So I think, you know, at that age, it toughened me up a lot quicker. So I grew up a lot faster than a lot of my peers because of the people that I was around, that was in front of my house. You know, they're shooting for dollars. So at a young age, I'm 8 years old, we're shooting for money, you know, shooting basketball in front of my house for money. You know what I mean?
Bread out there.
But as I work with the youth nowadays, it you know, that's not normal. That's not normal for someone at 7, 8 years old to be living that type of lifestyle, gambling, out, being exposed to all of these different things that I'm exposed to. I'm talking, you know, the killers live next door, robbers, drugs, everything outside my door. I can't hide from it. You know what I mean? So they're coming, hey, come outside, man, let's shoot some hoops. Hey, man, throw us a basketball.
Yeah, you got to come,
I got to come outside. You know what I mean? And this lasted over a long time. So as I'm getting older, 8, 9, 10, 11, I'm seeing people that I was playing basketball with fall off the mat, meaning die, you know, for street violence and stuff. So I was exposed to a lot of death at a young age. You know, literally I lose track of, you know, on my hands and toes, the people that I've been able to like just shake hands with who shot basketball on my court, because where I'm from in Hunters Point, it wasn't a, when I was first born, per se, it wasn't a hood. It wasn't a hood. It wasn't a hood until I turned about 3 or 4 when certain people moved there. And this area is called, you know, it's Kirkwood in San Francisco. It wasn't a hood when I was just a young boy, 4 or 5 years old. It was a good place for families to live. In San Francisco, we have great views to the bridge and stuff like that. But over time, you know, the different crowds started to come in because they seen opportunity. You know, they started seeing a lot of opportunity to be able to, you know, capitalize.
Well, that's one thing. I know when I moved from San Francisco, from the Bay to Sacramento, it was a lot faster in the Bay. And when I was already like my hoop game was more advanced. What I seen going on was like faster. It was just a different environment. So I noticed that right off the top. Like the youngsters in San Francisco, they were doing things at an accelerated pace. And even though these guys lived in these areas, they were super smart because Martin Luther King, it was an academic school out there. They didn't have sports, and they would clown you if you were getting bad grades. It wasn't like literally they would clown you. We had the honor roll thing, and I would go up there and they're like, because everybody like, oh, did they call his name for a certificate? We get the little certificates.
Yes.
And 4.0. So I got a couple of those certificates, and you see other cats getting certificates, and you be like, okay. But if somebody in class, somebody said, oh, you a dummy. That dude, he got an F. You failed. They clown you the whole way. Like literally, it was like no joke. So everybody took pride, even if they had Jerry curls or starter jackets or whatever. Everybody took pride in educating themselves. It was one of the top academic schools in the city, man. It was. So, it just...
I wonder where that shift happened.
I don't know, man. This was 80... You figure I was out there 80... Let me see, 86, 85. Yeah. And like I said, see, it was... On the top floor, it was Martin Luther King Junior High School. Because they hadn't opened up the new school yet. And on the bottom, it was... the high school, I forgot what it's called, but we shared the school with them. So you go down to get to the cafeteria, and you see high school, and it was like hogs, like you're like, damn, you know what I mean? I'm a 6th, 7th grader, and they got dudes down there looking like grown men with beards and jewelry on, and ball. I mean, and the dudes there, I mean, the sports there to me, like these cats was balling. I mean, they can hoop. Hooping is big in Frisco. Dudes can ball.
Huge. I was a part of the last team to win a city championship at Martin Luther King, and that was in 1999. So I asked you, like, where do you think that shift came? Because you say like when you were there, people made fun of you if you got bad grades. It wasn't like that when I was there. It was like, people barely wanted to do work. I think, it was like you would, as long as you're eligible to play.
Oh, wow, yeah.
You know what I mean? As long as you're eligible to run track or play football, basketball. It was totally different. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was still an academic school. It was still one of the best schools, but it was looked at differently. I think that may have played a part with, more people from around the city able to come in, and now you have people from all over the city.
I don't know when, because it wasn't super techie back there either. So we were, one of the first schools to have the Commodore computers, and we had a coding class, and we had a lot of cutting edge programs because it was such a diverse school. They were trying to see how this was like almost like a pilot program to see how it would impact the city with these different cultures, because there was a lot of people busted in from other areas still.
Yes.
But it wasn't, like I said, it was very cliquey, but at the same time, one of my best friends was Filipino, but it wasn't like, it wasn't like there was a lot of like clashing, but everybody was really, involved, even in after school programs, John Muir Club. I mean, I went on my first really, I went camping before, but my first camping trip at school where the teachers took like, 2-3 bus loads of kids. We went to Marin, over the Golden Gate and camped out there, at the little old barracks. They used that. So it was fun, man. We did a lot of stuff like that, and it wasn't like, they weren't pushing any bullshit in the school, but everybody was very, like I said, it was a very unique mixing pot. And I lived on a military base, so we used to get teased a lot. Oh, you little military kids, blah blah blah. They talk shit. Yeah. But I don't know, man, because like I said, I've been in California for most of my life, and then when I see now and what's going on and how it changed when they started allowing kids to think that they were automatically like the next kid, because they didn't want to hurt their feelings. And when they started getting rid of the GATE program, I was involved in the Gifted and Talented program. Yeah. And, that was one of the programs. If you scored high, they're like, the teacher would come, your son or your daughter, we think they can get into the GATE. And then if you're in the GATE program, you're doing all these other accelerated programs. Yes. So you could be in the 8th grade, but be doing 10th grade math or,
Absolutely.
10th grade science or whatever. And so when they started giving out the participation trophies, I think the entitlement, it messed everybody up.
I agree with that. I agree, with the participation trophies, what that did, because even me playing sports a lot, it was like, I thought first, second, third, you get a trophy.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like first, second, third, you
Yeah.
get a trophy or something. But, it did happen that way because now you got every team that comes to the tournament getting a trophy.
Yeah.
And then it just carries over to even today where, you can barely say anything to these kids nowadays. And it's unfortunate because, again, like working in social work, I deal with a lot of kids who have mental health issues, dealing with so many traumas from their personal life, family, and it's hard for someone, if you don't have the education, to get through to them.
Now, do you think that's a result of the parenting? Because think about we were going through a lot of stuff too, and they had bullies even when we were in school.
You're right.
My school had some bullies. I mean, they had some caps. They would
yeah.
cap on you so
Absolutely.
hard, like
You
God,
had to have
bro.
thick skin. Yes,
you'd be ducking
yes.
like, oh, there go
You had to have
Dion.
thick skin.
Dion, like, oh, I mean, he'd see you down the hallway, and dude, they would be bagging on you, and it'd be crowds of people laughing,
yeah,
and it'd be like, so you had to put up with it. And I remember even on base, man, getting chased by the older kids because I was good at football, and they'd be mad because they couldn't tackle me. And so one dude said, "Oh man, if I catch you, I'm gonna do this and that." So I told my little Filipino friend at school. So my little Filipino homie, he's little, but he told his Filipino friends who were some gangsters, and they went to Galileo and checked this dude. And after that, when dude came to see me on the base, he's like, "Oh, hey man, how you doing, man? You want to hang?" He was cool because I had some G's go check it. Galileo with no fun.
Absolutely, yeah,
So
for sure.
we have
O.J.
bullies.
Simpson went to Gal.
Yeah, exactly. And there were some hogs at Gal.
Absolutely.
Gal had some
For
football
sure.
players, some
For
big
sure.
ass Samoans.
For
So
sure.
I learned how to deal with bullies and stuff early on. So I never brought that. I never like these kids. Oh, they're what they got anxiety and this. Where is all this coming from, man?
You know what? The world is different now. It's just so different that with social media.
Yeah.
Social media plays a huge role. When I talk to, I'm meeting with some of my clients and things, and I'm having a dialogue and I'm asking them, hey, what do you want to do when you get older? Like, what's your goal? You're about to be 18. What do you want to do? Man, I'm gonna be an influencer. I'm gonna be a TikTok star.
That's what their career.
I got 30,000 followers. I know how to. I kid you not. This is really what's happening.
For careers,
yeah.
right?
I'm talking, and I deal with a lot of kids from all areas. I'm talking from the poor to the affluent. So I have kids from all walks of life, and the mentality is still, they're gonna make most of their money from social media. Influencer, TikTok, Instagram, and it's unfortunate because I tell them, you know what? You can do that. You absolutely can do that, but don't let that be like your end goal. Have something that you're pushing for. Nothing wrong with being an engineer, a doctor, just, something like that, a police officer, a firefighter. There's nothing wrong with that. And don't let anyone from the outside, influence, how you think about what you want to do with your life. Because I'll tell you, for me, there was a lot of people who, even when I was playing sports, oh, you think you too good. Oh, you can't hang. Oh, you don't want to hang with us, huh? Oh, you a sucker. Why am I a sucker? I live in the same hood as you. I live right here with you.
Yeah.
I'm shooting basketball with you every day.
Yeah.
We in the same area. We fighting the same fight, but I'm a sucker because I don't want to hang out for these extra hours or, when you want me to hang out. That's the type of thinking that I believe has to change within our community. It's people who want to do better, encourage them to keep doing better. If you don't want to do better, stay on the sideline. Stay on the sideline and just watch the people who want to grow, who want to manifest their dreams. Let them do so.
Now, you said sports kind of carried you through your childhood, and you said at a young age you were already pushing a whip. You were driving before you had a license.
I was already driving at 14 and a half. So I went to high school in Antioch, which is an hour away from San Francisco. And the reason I went there is because at that time I was already smart enough, or I would say mature enough, to say, hey, Mom, I don't want to go to school out here and play for the AAA, which was the worst football league that you can play in just in the Bay Area, literally statistically, graduating rate, players who would get a scholarship. So I went to Antioch and I lived with my uncle and aunt, and I'm playing against teams like Pittsburgh High, De La Salle, teams that are nationally ranked.
Yeah, De La Salle,
yeah. So I'm playing against these guys and I'm holding my own. I'm one of the best players in the area, so I'm getting a lot of accolades and, scholarships and things like that. So, I already knew at a young age, I had lost so many people in my life by the time I was 14, I didn't trust anyone. I didn't trust anyone. I didn't trust anyone to make a decision for me, not even my mom, and it's tough to say that, but I saw so much death. I saw so much, I've seen so many lies. I've seen, friends literally shoot at each other, literally right in front of everyone, shoot at each other, and an hour later come play basketball in front of my house.
Damn.
This is no exaggeration. This is real life. Yeah, I mean, friends, like over a basketball game, shoot at each other. Everybody runs. An hour later, they're back on the same in front of my house, dapping up and laughing and joking.
Oh my God.
This is real life.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
So I was a part of, growing up in that area where police would come just hem us up and get on the floor, get against the wall, just because you're out there. Mm-hmm. I wasn't out there trying to be no thug, no gangster. This is just where I live. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like at this time, I'm a college star. I'm not a college star, but I'm a football star. I played from Pop Warner. I played for some of the best teams in San Francisco. I played for the San Francisco Seahawks. To this day, play for some of the best teams, undefeated teams. Hasn't happened. So at a young age, I already knew like I want my life to go that way. Where I'm seeing guys who play for the team that I play for, a Pop Warner team, go to the NFL and have a chance to take care of their families. But it's difficult when you're in an area and an environment where you still have to be in survival mode.
Now, do you think one of the biggest factors that you've seen a lot of these young men, young black men, fail is lack of male role models?
Absolutely. For sure.
Yeah.
I think because even for myself included, when you see, the neighborhood the dope boy pulling up on 20-inch rims, all the most beautiful girls, when you're young like that, you're very impressionable. You don't really know how he's getting, a little bit what's going on, but you don't know everything.
All the details.
You don't know all the details. Yeah. So when you're seeing, different car, different girl, when you're seeing that, it's enticing. It's like, man, like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And then it's like, man, I'm going to school. For me, I'm like, man, I'm going to school and stuff. Man, I got this car, and my first car, I got it from gambling. I was gambling. I won. I was gambling 14 and a half. Gambling, I won and went and got a car at an auction. So I'm young. I'm young like that.
Already putting down moves.
Young, very young. When I was, and I'm not saying this to brag or anything. This is just like the mentality, because as an adult now, I look at it, that's not normal. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's not normal. So even today, as I sit here, 36-year-old man, I still deal with a lot of things. And then later on in life, I started working in a prison. You know what I mean? So I have family in the jam. I come from an area where I'm getting hemmed up by police. I'm getting profiled and all of this. I'm growing up in the hood. I'm having fights with the toughest guys, people who I have to wonder, are they going to come and kill me? Like I'm fighting guys who I know are out here doing stuff, and I can't tuck tail. I have to be here. But the only way you can be here is if you show that you're able to be here, meaning square up.
Yeah. Now, was there anybody that influenced you, in as far as like in the arena of sports that, you felt kind of took you in a different direction? Or was there, anybody around that kind of like would help cultivate some of the young men in the neighborhood? Or was everybody kind of left to their own devices? Because I know for me, I didn't really get a real mentor like that black older male conversation until I got to the pen. Man, by then it was already, you know, it was already too late. I was locked up, but I still got it.
Yeah. You know,
sometimes it's a coach or somebody.
Yeah, there were, you know, we had good coaches at a young age, but a lot of the coaches when I played, you know, I played living in Hunters Point. I played football in Fillmore, so you know that's the other side of town. You know, so I'm traveling 20 minutes across town just, you know, to play football, because at the time it wasn't any football in Hunters Point. So a lot of the mentors were from that area, so I would see them for practice, and then I got to go back home to reality. You know what I mean? So there were a few, you know, good men, you know, who would say, "Hey, man, you got something," or, you know, just come, you know, pour into the young guys around, you know, who were in the area. Like, "Hey, man, I don't want to see you guys on the streets and selling nothing." You know, they'll come pouring to us and tell us that, but it wasn't consistent.
Well, too, when you go home, it's different.
It's very
like
different.
You said, it's like everything you see, oh man, but then when you go home, it's like your reality, you look around like, damn, you know,
you look,
it's like, this is my reality though.
You look around and you realize, you know, let me backtrack real quick, because when I was 10 years old, I had my first job. I was a consultant for Levi Strauss, you know, because
at 10?
At 10 years old.
How'd you get that?
So at the Boys and Girls Club, there was a boy at the Boys and Girls Club in Double Rock, the projects right across
Double Rock. I heard Double
the
Rock.
projects right across the street from Candlestick Park, which they tore down where the Niners and the Giants played.
I've been to Candlestick. It's cold as shit at night.
Man, tell me about it. So I, you know, grew up there, and they were having you know, because the corporate building for Levi Strauss is in San Francisco. So they were looking for 2 kids. They were looking for 2 kids to help consult jeans and things like that, their new line that they were putting out. So they interviewed hundreds of kids from, you know, from the hood, and, you know, everybody put on their best attire. And, you know, I got picked, just straight up. I got picked. You know, they asked me, "Hey, like, who's one of your favorite, you know, rapper?" They didn't say rappers, they said musicians. They asked me if I can dance, stuff like that. So I ended up getting it, you know, and that was one of, like, my first taste of, wow, there's more to San Francisco than just the hood. Because what we would do is we would go downtown to the high rises, and it was just me and one other guy who was from the hood. He was from a different Boys and Girls Club, so I didn't know his name. But then there was like 3 boys who were from affluent area, so they put us all together, you know, and just kind of all had us, you know, sit down at this big table, and they would bring different jeans and different shirts. What do you like about this? What do you not like about it? What would you change? Wow. And they would ask us this stuff. But for me, the experience was, I'm looking out the window and I'm seeing my house. You know, I'm seeing in the distance, and because there's a it's called the sundial. It's on the top of, in Hunters Point, it's a big, you know, yellow, it's called a sundial. It's a sundial, an actual sundial. And you can see that. And the other boys who had, you know, a lot of money, their houses was like on the other side, so they couldn't see their house because they're in, you know, where the pursuit of happiness. You know, they were living in them areas. So Presidio, Presidio, you know what I mean? Forest Hill, you know, all of those places. So I'm like, man, like, you see this? This is crazy. Like, this is what it, you know, man. Because when we look out our windows in the hood, because San Francisco has the best views, Hunters Point has the best views in San Francisco. You can see downtown, you see the skyline, it's beautiful. But not too many of us work down there or get to the money down there. So you dream of that. You dream of, man, one day I'm going to be working down there. One day I'm going to be getting paid down there. And I was just blessed to do it at a young age. So I was exposed to that.
So it gave you a different perspective.
Big, very big.
I think that's one of the things that saved me when I got to the pen and really had time to really look back in my life, was that I did have these different experiences to draw from that I didn't really maybe appreciate them at the time.
Yes.
But as I reflected back on, I'm like, damn, I remember doing this and doing that and hanging out in the Santa Rosa or you know, going to Huntington Beach and being around these different places. And so it gave me something to draw from, and it allowed me to change my path, man. So, you know, that experience, man, is golden, man. I mean, most people wouldn't, I don't know, you know, how at the time, I mean, you're so young, but something like that, I mean, shit, it could lead to a number of things. You could have been a designer for,
Oh, yeah.
Louis Vuitton, Gucci, or anything. Because I mean, at 10 years old, if you could have been like, what's that dude who, Virgil, what I mean? Because you're before they had access to all that stuff. Because I actually wanted to get into clothing design. I started my first clothing business at 15. But back then, you had to look in Yellow Pages. There was no, all we had was GQ magazine.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There was nothing really to. I mean, I had ideas, but there was nothing socially to get it out there. I mean, literally, I used to make T-shirts and then have to sell them at school or try to get people at school to buy them or do the Saturday swap meet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you said 15? That's a
15,
hustle, man. That's being out there, and being able to communicate with people like that is huge. I think that's one of the biggest factors that we lack as well is just communication, being able to communicate. A lot of people, feel like I can text you. You know what I mean?
Because there's no verbal interaction.
Because now you have to look someone in the eye. You have to, have a conversation or a dialogue. You have to, people aren't comfortable with that too much anymore, at all. Now it's, I'll DM you. I'll send you a text message, and we see it. I know you've probably seen it. I see it. People are in the same house and they're texting, hey, come here, or, why can't we have, a conversation? Why can't we sit down and, dialogue like this?
So did you end up going to college to take anything in fashion, or did you play sports in school, or what happened after?
In high school, I started going down the wrong path, and that was because I had no guidance, So I ended up, after high school, I ended up going to City College of San Francisco. Mm-hmm. Which is for football. JUCO, which is the number one junior college football, period. Mm-hmm. So I went there. OJ Simpson again went there. Mm-hmm. Got to start there. So I went there, played 2 years there, won a national championship. And what's special about that is we won in 2007. And recently they won, in 2021, they won another national title, their 11th. And a saying that I created, a chant that I created, they put it on the ring. They put it on the ring. And this is 14 years later.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So that was big for me, so, for it to continue for 14 years at least, a chant that I created and I started, which helped us win the national title. They were still using for 14 years and, commemorated by putting it on a ring, on the national championship ring. So for me, being from San Francisco, playing for City College of San Francisco is so rare because you're talking the best athletes who just didn't have
they
grades.
recruit from all over the country.
From all over the country.
Yeah,
that.
They had a documentary on Netflix about it.
Yeah, so all over the country, and you have to be a dog. You have to be one of the top players to play at City. There was Michael Vick's brother, not to name drop and stuff, Marcus Vick, there was like huge rumors that he was going to come there when he was going through his situation. But not only that, when we practiced, it was scouts there all the time. Nick Saban, Urban Meyer,
big boys.
The big boys, so when you're playing here, you're playing with you're auditioning every practice. You had to be somebody. So I graduated from there, got my associates, and I ended up going to Lincoln University, which was a small D2 school because they gave me a full ride. And I didn't want to do a walk-on. I could have, but I went there, played ball, still have the record, only player to have back-to-back pick sixes. But that's where I finished. That's where I finished. And once I got out of there, mind you, this whole time, my family's still in the hood. So I'm still mentally trying to escape getting out of there, but I'm still feeling the pressure of, man, I got to get my mom.
Where was that college at?
It's in Jefferson City, Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah, so small D2 school, man, but it was a great school, great experience. But my mind was somewhere else because now I'm in the world. I'm feeling like I'm alone. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm alone because my mom's here. She's there. Like if I call her, I need anything. But as I move throughout this life and I'm learning more about agents and people who like how to just get to that next level of the NFL, learning that it's not just talent. These are the things that, can hold somebody like myself back from getting to that next level.
It's a business. It's a business.
It's a
move.
business.
Yeah, it's a business. Yeah,
It's
having the right
business.
agent, because there's people that maybe didn't have the same talent. Got a good agent.
People
got
that talk for you.
Talk for you. Yeah,
You know?
and sell you.
Yeah,
sell you.
absolutely.
Get you on a combine and
Absolutely.
and shit.
That's huge.
That's really big.
That's key. That's the major key there. So now when I'm coaching or when I'm talking with parents, about a client or something, I'm letting them know, like, hey, go to these parent-teacher meetings. Like, show up. Bring Gatorade to the game if you can. Bring some oranges. That stuff goes a long way when you're sitting in an office like I was with a kid who's in the same room. His mom is a doctor. His dad was his fraternity. He was an Omega Psi Phi. I don't know what he did for his profession, but he was real established. I believe they both have really good careers. He's from Sacramento. I'm from City College. I have a degree. He doesn't. We're in the same room talking to the coach, trying to sell ourselves. He has his family here. I'm selling myself by showing my tape. Hey, I'm a national champion. Here's my stats. I got kick returns, touchdowns, interceptions. I got everything you need. But he's here with his parents.
Yeah, that's something like the backing.
It looks really good.
The package is different.
I have the degree. I have this paper that everybody tell me to get. I have the and this isn't like a bitter or rant.
No,
this is just
this is what it is.
Yeah,
it's a putting it into perspective, because a lot of people don't understand how that comes across.
Oh yeah, so I did so well with that. The other young guy, his dad came out and was like, "Hey man," I was 22 at the time. He said, "Hey man, what is your name? I just want to tell you that the way you conducted yourself in there was stand up, man." He was like, "Anything I can do to help you, I want to help you." Gave me his number. Very established man. And just, because he's seen the hunger in me having to sit there and it. I mean, think about it. That's uncomfortable. I'm in here by myself, just me, trying to sell myself. We play the same position. I play DB, he plays DB. See, I don't want to get too preachy, but things don't happen for a reason. His mom and dad are there. So I'm going through this mentally like, wow, like, man, I don't want to sit in this meeting with him when his mom and dad can say, hey, well, you know what? Whatever he needs, we have it for him. Or, when I'm here, like, listen, I'm hungry. I have a degree. I did everything I needed to do to get to this point. I just need a helping hand, to get me to the next level. And
who was that person in the room you guys were talking to?
The coach.
Okay.
It was a coach. It was a coach because I had tried to get into Morehouse College. Yeah, I had tried to get into Morehouse College because I realized at the time when I was at Lincoln, I started to realize, like, the NFL was getting further and further from me. I felt, just personally. Although I had these records and stuff, and I was still playing well, I felt like it was getting further and further because I didn't have the business savvy at that time to be able to. I can conduct myself professionally. I can articulate my words, but again, I didn't have anyone to vouch or to speak up to say, hey, if he starts slacking, call me and I'll get on him.
Somebody to hold you accountable.
To hold me accountable. So now as I get older, and it's like, that's very important in this life that we live, because I'm working with these youth and they have no one holding them accountable. Parents working 2-3 jobs, never home. Kids get out of school, 4:00, no one's home. So they go out in the streets, you run around, do whatever you're gonna do, get into some trouble or something, but you don't have that accountability. You may not have that mom who can get off of work to come do what you need, or that dad to say, hey boy, stop, or this is what's gonna happen if you don't. If you don't have that, then you're missing out on a lot. You're missing a lot.
Well, it goes back to the discussion where, everybody says, what's the biggest thing plaguing the families in America, and it's having a mother and a father at the same house.
Yes.
Whether you're black, white, Mexican. I mean, you have both parents in the house. You know, and it's been proven facts. The numbers show that
facts.
When a father, even a single father, when he raises his kids, the kids are less likely to go to prison.
Oh, the
girl's less likely to have teenage pregnancy. There's a lot of things that are less likely when the male is in the house.
Yes.
And, you know, in statistics with black families, or, you know, you can see it all day that the majority of, you're talking about like abuse, you're talking about all these different things. When you have the father in the house, there's a lot of things that changes the dynamics of how that young man sees himself and his, and not to say that there is not situations where, you know, both parents and the kid still gets in trouble.
For sure.
But it does have a big impact on the child's ability to perform, his drive for success, you know, not getting in trouble, committing crime, all that, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And his future relationships, because of him having a father, he's a lot less likely to go out here and just get, you know, have unwed babies and just think that that's the thing to do. So it just
makes you think different.
It
kind of changes.
It does.
It plants that seed to where it's like, you know, that a man is looking over you. You know, can I bring up the prison, working in the prison?
Yeah. But we're going to get into that in another video. So, hey, stay tuned. Make sure you guys subscribe. And, we're about to get into some more conversation. Hello, my name is Big Herc 916, and I'm with the Wash Your Ass Committee. And I'm traveling across America helping people wash their ass and get their booty holes clean. And I have with me here today Wash Your Ass Soap, and this one in particular is Butt Naked Scrub. But I also have Festival, Oatmeal Milk and Honey, Jamaican Me Crazy, Monkey Farts, and all these scents smell very good. They will help cleanse your body of funk and also make you feel better about yourself. So if you can go to BigHerc916.com, you can pick you up a bar. And my goal is to help America combat funk. Go to the Herc store at BigHerc916.com and pick you up a bar of soap so you can wash that ass, or pick you up some Never Settle for Average merch, or some of the Muscleup Car Lifestyle merch. We have hats, Never Settle for Average, got the Muscleup t-shirts. We also have the Never Settle for Average tank tops. Got the Muscleup Car Lifestyle hoodies. Got the beanie caps. Hey man, represent. And I know you guys aren't average, so pick you up some swag and step your game up. Hello, I'm Big Herc 916. Contact me for life coaching and motivational speaking.